Hi Gus, hi Charles. Welcome Spain, welcome Zurich. Guys, I'm so happy that you're participating in this. We're doing this in English, also we could speak in German, or I could try to speak a little bit of my my Swiss, but I spare you. So I wanted you together because you're such dear friends, and it's the first time that we're doing this, around happy hour. And so, cheers to that, guys. I got myself a glass.
Cheers, Ruth. Cheers, Charles.
Cheers.
Welcome so much. I just want to quickly tell you what this is all about. We're just having a chat about how you have been, what you're up to, how you're dealing with your companies and so on. And then we're sending it on Thursday. So, it's just so good to catch up and to see how you guys are dealing with this. And you were the first one saying happy hour. We have been following you around the world, so I'm happy to have you. So guys, I met you guys at a workshop, on a winery in Spain, and we became friends. And I met you, Charles, at the World Architecture Festival in Singapore, and we had a lot of fun. So tell me, how did you guys meet?
Actually, Charles, I think we first of all, Ruth, thanks so much for having us on this format you're doing. I mean, it's an absolute pleasure to be here, first of all, and then together with you and Charles, two of my favorite people.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's a good energy. That's a good start. And Charles, I think we met in Germany in a workshop, right?
We were in a workshop of IFI debating the question for the International or the Federation of Interior Architects. Should they call themselves interior architects or interior designers?
True.
What's better, Charles? What's better?
Two-day workshop.
Well, we had a two-day workshop. We couldn't come up with a solution. It was impossible. So
did you not recommend either or?
Well, you have to be careful with people involved and titles mentioned. And no, did we have? It was still open, Charles. No, we didn't have a conclusion, right?
Yeah. So now they're calling themselves interior designers / architects.
Right. we love with everybody, not at.
That's right.
We have been over the last few weeks. We have been discussing the profession of being an architect quite a bit, and asking a lot of curators and people that are not necessarily building anymore. And what we found out is that it's so interesting that we all work in different parts of architecture. So, Charles, you do World Architects, German Architects, Swiss Architects, NYC Architects. Tell us how you started your company and how you're communicating with all the many people that are represented on your platform right now.
Just to correct, the credit of inventing the platform is not mine. It's my ex-partners who had that idea. And one of the guys, none of them architects, but one of them came from advertising, the father being an architect, and the other partner a great salesman. And the basic idea was for me, I realized how important architecture is and how much it contributes to our quality of life. So the basic philosophy was, well, if the environment has to be built or rebuilt, at least it should be done with good people, good architects. And at the time, that was now over 20 years ago, it was difficult to find good architects. I mean, the architects were here in Switzerland, the mentality was kind of the building speaks for itself. the architect does not tout their own horn. And so it was kind of very difficult to introduce the concept of architects communicating to an audience and presenting themselves. And as it grew in Switzerland, we always look at the big picture, and it started developing internationally as it resonates with all the different countries and the architectural scene. Also, we were the first ones really to introduce online digital presentations, which at the time didn't really exist. So we were kind of pioneers in communicating architecture on a digital format.
Hello from Lucas, by the way, who worked for you for a little while in New York. He was in touch yesterday. He has a huge white beard and and stuck in Brooklyn. But he sends his love.
Thank you. Oh, what a small world.
It is a very small world, and that's so great about this time. So there's, it's not an easy time, but I'm so happy. Would I've gotten you on video or phone otherwise? Probably not.
And actually, to come back how I met Gus, actually the first time I met Gus was visiting his office in Zurich and presenting him this project of presenting his office and work on this new platform called Swiss Architects.
True, yeah, true.
And what was really great and so refreshing was when I asked, well, which language do you want to present? And he said, oh, English, of course. And I was like, yes, that's a man thinking in the bigger picture.
Domination of the world.
That's right.
That brings us to Gus. When I met Gus in Spain, he clearly looked Spanish and not so much Swiss. But we were having, fun first, and there were a lot of architects and a lot of architects with really great names. And I think I only checked out your work afterwards at 4 o'clock in the cab ride home, and I was like, "Fuck! I met that guy." So I'm a huge fan of your architecture. I mean, I scoop you out all the time, not only via social media, but I think that you have a very archaic and a very special way of creating architecture. You are a soft guy and a tough guy. How does it all influence your architecture?
Well, Ruth, thanks so much for that lovely introduction. The feelings are mutual, first of all, and I think actually it's a very good introduction to our architecture. Maybe I think it's about. Well, I think our architecture is about, like in life, it's about getting rid of prejudice. No, it's about learning. It's about looking for content. It's about finding this point of gravity. Yeah, much more than repeating connotation, social and architectural connotations, which again implies this prejudice. No, this is high end, low end, this style, that style. In the end, we could refer much more simpler ways to see things, do things. We have this exhibition rolling around with the title "Total Recall," right? Where we try to describe our approach to architecture as in like Total Recall as a reference to see and feel what it really is, and forget about everything, And I think this is the content side of our approach to architecture and urban design, and of course there's the morphology, like how this build, what's the organ of the build mass, and there again I think we have to forget always everything we know, the heights, the windows, this, that, you know, how rooms are made up, how they build the periphery. I think it's important to recognize that all protagonists of space have an influence of people living in there, right? So if we just repeat the addition of, of you know, a very simple example. You build, a big building and you add many things, many rooms and things. It's still just many single things. You never feel the big picture, right? And we've seen this morphology way. I think it's more to see urban space and living space as a topographical experience, right? Where you actually feel, how it is made, what is it? And then, I don't know, or in residential projects, then maybe in this topography, you feel the built mass, you feel, oh yeah, you're just part of something bigger. So it's not your window or a wall is not just a separating wall. You feel it's a mass of something bigger, so it's not negative, it's positive and becomes communicative, right? Like, there's a lot of that in our latest affordable housing project in Zurich, where actually, of course, the flats are pretty small, but if you go there, you would never have the feeling of small, right? Because you have this, what I call topographical experience, yeah, where you feel where you are inside the mass. And so there's the content, there's the morphology, and I think within that, and of course, trying to get rid of all those connotations, which in architecture, you learn it, of course, in the academy, you learn, how it's built, what it means, what people see in it. That's one side of it. I think it's important to get there, to do it. Then you have to get rid of it and learn on, keep on learning, and try to find this point of gravity.
I'm so fascinated by your work, and because you really you lose like maybe that's what you try to say, you lose the mere pretty, like, it has nothing to do with surface graphics or making anything nice and pretty. It's just, it's very stark, it's very pure, it's very minimalistic, and it's all, I'm not saying it's scary. I think it's like your personality. It's very strong. It's very boom. You're there, and even if we deal with clients, and a lot of the architecture that I created so far was ended up being a major compromise, and I don't even want to look at it anymore. I mean, how do you deal with that? It's probably a question you get a lot, because your work does not look like one single compromise ever. But you said, Charles, right? It looks like this has Gus written all over it. So,
I couldn't agree more. An aspect I just admire very much in Gus's architecture is this free space. I consider good architecture if it provides a free space which allows me to kind of let go my armoring and perform at my highest potential. And the spaces of us are also not cluttered with the program of the space. The kitchen kind of appears when you need it and then kind of disappears again. The living room can easily be, for the moment, organized in an office space and the meeting space, and then after that's over, it kind of dissolves again into a free space. And that quality I admire tremendously.
Well, thanks so much. Well, maybe thank you so much.
I think we're both saving money so you can design our houses.
That's right.
Well, it's not, no, but that's actually a funny point, right? About the money, and expensive and so on. It's actually, we just did this affordable housing project in Zurich, I mentioned before, for Zurich turns beyond 3,000 francs, the blah blah blah, SIA, SCO, and so on. So it's on the level of social housing, public social housing costs. And then you go there, you show people, journalists, explain, yeah, we managed this really cheap, right? Because the house is actually just a raw structure, and that's the aesthetic. So we have many works are not done. Like there's no plaster, there's no facade, there's no this, no that, no metal, no this, and so on. And that's what I meant before with the prejudice. So you show them it's affordable housing, it's very cheap, it's rented out super cheaply. You explain them technically how it is possible to actually keep the low cost, and they start talking about luxury, right?
Mm-hmm.
Makes no sense. They say, oh yeah, but oh yeah, this is just because you have a different concept of space, right? And you don't stay within this, window here, there. So I think it's live in a time we'll see, as you mentioned, Ruth. It's time for change. It's time to realize what is important, and it's time to get rid of prejudice and values we have.
As I said, whatever you're doing with your clients, whether they're private clients or commercial clients or public clients, I think it's amazing how you manage to stay true to your architecture without killing the budget and without overdoing it. And I think that's also an art form to find clients that understand you and really want you, like in love. You either want somebody or you don't, right?
But like in love, first they think I love you and then they hate you. So it's it's very complicated. we know. So yeah, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to show people that there's only one way we can help them in our office. That's we do what we do best, and if not, then I'm sure there's better people
Yeah, so it's as I said, it's your way or the highway, and then you do it very charming. Charles. So you are doing world architects, Swiss architects, German architects, and so on. It's not just a website where every architect can represent his own office. You also do other stuff. Like it's basically a digital publishing house. It's about time that a publishing house. It's about time that we all get there. At digitalization 4.0. Here we come. So we're running after you, Charles. We're a little bit behind. With us.
Yeah, no. We view ourselves not just as a digital platform, but really more as a network of people connecting the architects, various other professionals, the client, the investors, and ultimately a broader audience to try to understand what is architecture and how does it benefit us. And so we do. We work at trade shows. We create conferences. We do guided tours, bringing guided by architect clients of ours through these boring fairs to really give them the best information on what is exhibited. And we've also, for the last few years, we've started putting a lot of emphasis on giving a voice to young architects.
Mm-hmm.
I think, personally, I believe that many of our old structures are kind of collapsing and we need new perspectives. And with the young architects, usually it's difficult for them to get a platform until they're 5, 10 years into their business, and they finally have a project which is publicized, and then getting the voice to be heard. And so we're trying to, I personally believe it's important to hear them now, their perspective, because they are coming into the market with another package of factors influencing our quality of life and the environment and so on. So together with the Mies van der Rohe Foundation, for example, we created the Young Talent Architects Award. So giving graduating students an immediate platform to be seen and to express their ideas through their submitted projects. And so that's a big focus, and the ultimate focus still continues in person, online, and so on, to really help increase the awareness about architecture and how important that is, and how we are all more and more fighting for quality. And that's why also we're trying, I mean, we see ourselves as a coming together of these different voices in advocating quality in architecture.
Well, if you're okay with that, I mean, both of you, we're clearly showing, you know, your website. We're gonna show especially our students the competitions they can partake in, and also I want to show some of this work so people know what we're talking about. Either one of you has a massive amount of children behind them.
Here.
Sound-wise, it's rocking. But
I'm sorry, I'm in the port here, and I think it was here.
Yeah, no problem. I love it. I love it. You know, when I speak to the people in my office, I would say it's like the birds are loud and everything's loud, and it's really good. What I also love about our talk is that we haven't mentioned the sea word once yet. I know things are looking up in Switzerland. How's green? I think they're 2 weeks behind or something like that. But I mean, has that in parentheses a little bit more quiet time make you think about new projects? What has been going through your mind?
Yeah, no, I mean, you talk about the whole COVID situation, no?
Yeah.
Everybody's in the last 3 months. I think, well, there's so much to say about it and to think about it, and we all know that it's just one thing, and there's more things coming. If you think about climate change, we think about how we just have to change things, no? The way we live, the way we see things. Personally, I was in Barcelona, where at Encierro the lockdown was pretty hard. You were not allowed to go out for 2 months. It was actually lockdown at home. Mm-hmm. But funny enough, obviously the whole office, we already, before that, were working online, as I had been traveling a lot between Zurich, Barcelona, and Mallorca. And it's normal for us to work online. That worked pretty well, but everybody was at home, and actually it worked super well. There was no problem. At the same time, I created a new roof terrace garden in my building.
Sharing on Instagram, I'm jealous.
You know, like probably many people did. So I was like, before I was playing every day, and then suddenly I'm at home every day for 2 months, and it was actually felt quite good. I was quite relaxed. I wasn't working that well yet. I had to get used to the situation. But this whole and then every night at 8 o'clock we had this clapping thing in Barcelona, and then suddenly you start to get to know the neighbors, which you never did because everybody's on the terrace, everybody's clapping. I used to live for 10 years. I didn't know anybody. Suddenly you know everybody, and somehow there was this empathy there, and of course, it's a sad thing about, people who really got ill or died. That's, of course, everybody knows that's a very sad part of it. But then within dealing with the situation, personally, I was totally fine. And now I could leave Barcelona for a week now. Went to Mallorca, which is yeah. I'm sorry, but we have some construction sites here, so I can work, but at the same time, it's of course here it's a totally different situation. As well, they had almost no cases and so. But I think in the end, of course, now everybody's we're kind of over it here in Spain. It's kind of over it in Switzerland anyway. I think in Germany as well. Everybody goes out again.
But we have a disaster fatigue. It's like, the things haven't changed that gravely, but it's just, give me a break, And I mean, our office is home week 12 or 13 now. I even forgot. And we handed in a competition last week. It was crazy. I never had one single life desperate. We were just, and in the end it came together, and it was like a big miracle. And I was tearing up about that because it's a weird thing. But I mean, new ideas. We started the rolling bar. Lock me up and I come up with something. So that was my question. Any ideas? This is not going to last forever. Maybe in 2 weeks we've forgotten all about it. Maybe in 2 months, hopefully.
No, I don't think so. I think we all keep that in mind somehow. We all have that in mind, but positive, negative. But for example, work-wise, I think just showed that it's very easy to have like we do now. No, with Charles, we speak. It's like now it's become totally normal. We intercambiar, we exchange each other, and I think it's in our office, some people will do more. They said they would like to do some home office. I said, yeah, sure, no problem. If it if it works out, and I think it does, I think it's super cool. We still meet, we still have an office, but of course, maybe it'll change a bit. Yeah.
Will you shake hands and hug people again in the near future?
It's a good question.
I will hug you.
Good question. Well, yeah, I would. Of course. Of course.
I think it's very interesting. It was the first week that clients insisted that we would see them live again, and there was some of them had a lot of respect with masks and distance, and some others didn't do it at all. Where then you come home and you need a few hours to get over it, because it's not like you necessarily think, oh God, I got infected, but you don't understand why there's so much disrespect. Why not just follow the rules, whether you believe in.
Absolutely.
And that's an interesting thing. So I think it's a matter of having more respect, or the same respect that we always had, but respect for the people around us. We also talked a lot about people didn't necessarily become better persons, just because we hit the rock, which is sad.
No, of course not.
If out of all of this we have gained, or we have more respect for other people, I think then we have gained a lot.
Yes, absolutely.
One of my favorite songs, Aretha Franklin's R-E-S-P-E-C-T, and so that remains a basic. It does remain a basic resonance we should continue to develop and grow.
Yeah, Charles, exactly. I think as well. I think respect, but as well empathy. And that situations like that have occurred and will occur again. And maybe we will have different lockdowns. Not like that, but maybe another lockdown too for 2 weeks and this and that. I think maybe we got more aware of people around us.
Right.
Yeah.
And that would be very nice, and that would be my question, and maybe ask Charles first. Do you think it's going to have influence on our architecture? Charles, I'm asking you as
a non-architect.
as a person doing our PR and representing us to the world.
Right.
You must have an answer before us.
I mean, it's going to be interesting, you know, the learning curve of people having lived now in their spaces so intensively. And how have they experienced their space? And do they see, oh wow, this could be improved, that could be improved, and kind of find this balance within their space, which, you know, allows them to exactly be in a free space and overcome such restrictive situations. Also, I think rethinking the public space will be important, and also exactly the, you know, how will people in future, what kind of, how will they be able to live? You know, I mean, now we are living at the moment with the concept that this is just the beginning, and you know, the things will follow, and this will be not the last virus to impact our society. So, you know, hopefully we are going to think about different ways in architecture, and so I keep believing in it, and continue talking about it and communicating it and sharing the views of other people and architects in this direction. But you know, not long ago we had the financial crisis and this whole thing about greed and how you know, greed was really terrible and costing so many people's economic life. And you know, as soon as it was over, and you know, not even a year later, it was back to normal. The banks, you know, were. Oops.
There was a phone call.
Okay.
All ends up on one machine. No, that's the thing. I mean, after 9/11, everything returned back to normal, and 4 weeks later, they pushed you know, elderly people down the subway steps again. Also, we were all in this together, right? That was the slogan, and so I'm really hoping that this time it's going to be better, and that the political situation, although we're not talking politics here today, but that the political situation in most of our countries doesn't, you know, become even worse. Let's put it that way. So Gus, I mean, we've all seen that you cleaned up your roof garden. And no jealousy there. Also,
Yeah.
we have some more sun rays than we do. What were you thinking while we were doing hard work?
Well, I definitely enjoyed it, but I think, like Charles just mentioned before, obviously people now think, oh, you know, I have to improve my environment at home in case, you know, I have to stay at home, the importance of having a home and so on it's just more important. But at the same time, then you heard people, you know, posting their photos in their country house, their garden. You know, great for them, but if you live in a city, for example, if you have no balcony, you have no roof terrace, and you would have 2 months, I guess that's rather hard, right? And that's why I think maybe the situation, we could bring it up as architects and urban planner to emphasize, to increase the quality of, on a small scale, of you know, common spaces like our little roof garden terrace. We did now that, you know, you share the roof terrace. All the roof terraces in Barcelona, they're public.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's fantastic. Well, you know, in the building, there's no Attico private. They are, but they shouldn't be. So that would be, I think, a good way to improve things. On a small scale, all, you know, share all the roof terrace. You can share a garden. Then in future projects, make sure you know, affordable housing and so on. There's a bit of balcony, exterior spaces. as I said, small common space for building, and then in the urban scale, you know, like we have in Barcelona, those super IAs, the super blocks, which is a fantastic product, I think, where we start to free the public space of private cars, right, and of traffic, which is totally passé. It's yesterday. I think cars will get out of the cities, and the city has to go back to the pedestrian and the community of the area. And the super blocks is like, you know, people have to drive around. You've got the 9 blocks. It's all you put back plants, which better air, more shade, better microclimate. And I think all of that it's important to now, I think, in an urban context, to reform from within, you know, to restore, not to make big new projects, but just to enhance the quality of what there is already. And I think those are extremely important things we have to do in the building, small common spaces. It's all about, you know, common sense, no? So everybody has something, everybody gets some quality. Building common spaces in the area, in the barrio, more better outside space. For example, in Barcelona, after 2 months, right? It's like 2 weeks ago now, you were allowed to go jogging the first time. Imagine.
Wow.
So, yeah, imagine Saturday morning, I went out jogging to the beach, and I just couldn't believe it. I mean, it was like fresh air. The city was clean. There were no cars. Everybody was running on you know, skateboard, dogs. It was beautiful. And I thought, wow, this is how cities should be, right? Bicycles, people running, no cars, clean air, and I think it's possible. There's no reason why it shouldn't be.
I know, it's like rediscovering the world. It's almost like being in Wonderland, going out. A friend of mine, our climate design engineer, he sent me photographs of empty Munich every night at 12, saying,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's empty, unfortunately." Every night he sent a photograph, but it was so magic, you know.
And it would be so disastrous if we go back and fill the cities with cars again. I mean, people live there, no? I mean,
trust me, Munich is full again. It's full. There's more traffic jam than before. And because nobody wants to go into public transportation, clearly everybody who has a car goes back into the car again. So
yeah, but that's what I meant before. It's all this prejudice, all this old ways. We have to get rid of it. And I think us as architects, all of us here, and you, Charles, as well, as a promoter of architecture, we're responsible to bring it up, responsible to show that it's wrong or what has to change.
I couldn't agree more. In fact, a couple of years ago, I met this architect. His name is PROF. He's from Chile and works in Copenhagen now. And he presented a crowdfunding project because he deals with refugee architecture. And so he was promoting a project of schools in Syria in the camps there. And after I went up to him and introduced ourselves, and then he gave me his business card. And when I turned it around, it read in big bold letters, "Architecture is a human right." And wow, you know, I never, I mean, in all these years in trying to explain and communicate what is architecture, this statement has even blew me away, you know. And I think that's, I mean, it is a huge responsibility I think architects have and can offer a lot of solutions. It's this fight with, you know, return on investment and where do you put your energies and focus, and perhaps that would be a nice focus to respect the dignity of people and offer spaces which you know are livable.
well, I think that our developers definitely started thinking too and learned a lot too. You know, about the uses of the buildings, about how the city will change, new mobility, and so many topics, and also what has to happen, you know, to make our climate better, you know, also
Yeah.
in terms of the way we build, you know, and the carbon footprint of the building industry, not a good one. So. The two of you, I'm organizing now. It's an online conference, but I was doing a conference in October after the Expo Real, which probably won't happen, about the, you know, building in the future, or how to build in the future, and so on. So maybe that is an incentive, Charles, for you to well, maybe we work together on this. We have Gus as a keynote speaker, and we in order to formulate challenges of the future, in order to design the future, you have to design it, right? So we probably just need to have a whole set of challenges of the future, and then ask our friends, ask our talented, super talented friends to think about it, and you know, not necessarily come up with solutions, but with keynote papers or statements or stuff they think about. And I think every single time a crisis happens, even with the refugee crisis, so much started happening because, you know, we're always at the forefront, and we do start thinking. So,
I mean, you know, what I'm also enjoying actually in this crisis is the incredible creativity I see popping up around me. You know, everybody is trying to find new ways and kind of, you know, rattle the people out of their taking everything for granted how it is, and now really coming up with, you know, really incredible ideas. So it's just sad that it takes something like this to push people for this kind of creative bubbles.
it's sad. On the other hand, that's the only good thing coming out of it, and I think we should collect it. I mean, the rolling bar is one trial to collect this, and I'm so super proud to have you here today. And I really have to say, strenuous day of teaching, but I look forward to this talk all day. Let's have another cheers, my God.
Yes, of course. Ruth, cheers. My favorite people. Yes. And fantastic format, Ruth. Well done. Really proud of you. Really.
And, you know, I'm so glad we met, because I think only 2 years ago at the Biennale, I realized that you two guys know each other as well. You guys were studying. Oh my God, they know each other. But it gave me great pleasure to realize that, you know, there was a reason we all met.
Yeah,
I'm
right, totally.
certain. And so
I think we all follow our heart. That's what connects us.
Yeah,
it's very important. Very important. Yeah.
Well, and I follow you on social media, obviously too. But you know, it was so it's so cool, because, you know, usually I just, you know, in the morning when I wake up, I scroll through social media, Instagram, whatever, and I'm like, okay, I'm up to date. But now it's so cool to pick up the phone and call people that were my teachers or people that I met a few years ago, and always think about, and now we actually talk. And so I will show some of your stuff. So please just send me an email saying what you want me to show of your work. And I would just say, I mean, please stay online, because we're gonna stop the recording now. And
now you do the real talking. Yeah.
By the way, there is a great, in our newsletters, there is a great article about Gus's work.
True.
So,
yeah. Thanks again, Charles. I think actually, you know, Ruth, you know, you main aspect, you're professor, you're architect, you know, but Charles, and now Ruth, you do that as well. You do. I think to set up that format for communication and you know, exchange our thoughts of architecture and what's going on in the world at the moment. It's fantastic. It's extremely important. Extremely important. I'm very glad to be part of it.
It's so interesting because it's so different in every country, and it's different for students in different countries. And you know, as I said earlier, in 2 weeks maybe we're like, what was this all about? You know, but hopefully in 2 weeks. Hopefully, but,
yeah, we will definitely continue at World Architects, you know, to promote this kind of discussion. So, you know, as I always say, we can't do it all alone. So absolutely I welcome, you know, ideas of collaborating and spreading the gospel.
well, I tell you one thing: when this online term is over, you're welcome to take it from there. You know,
Ruth, when will we see you again?
Well, I will invite you again.
We all think it's going to be virtual for the rest of our lives.
No, no way, no way.
Zurich is a jump away.
My godchild that I interviewed last week, he's in Zurich too. And,
right.
you know, I'm not traveling yet. I think Germany's opening up June 15th. And we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, but the next Biennale for sure, Ruth. Of course.
Oh, yes, of course. Next
Of course. Charles and I will ride in with the boat as usual.
Yeah, you better fix yours.
Yeah, I'm painting non-stop.
Say goodbye to all the people watching us, and please stay online so we discuss what we're going to show.
Bye, everybody.
Yes.
Bye, everybody.
Ciao.
Cheers.